All right. Hey,
How you doing, Jeff? Good to be with you.
Dave Boisture. Thanks for visiting with me a little bit
Absolutely.
today. So we've got this little series we're doing, and we're going to just sort of talk about Dickey's Barbecue and your experience as a Dickey's
Okay.
Barbecue franchisee. Um, you have one of my absolute favorite origin stories, I think, of how you first even came to know the brand. I think I remember it involves eating a sandwich in the hallway of an airport or something
Yes,
like that. Is
yes,
that
yes.
right? So
I think I guess first off we've been with the brand almost 22 years now,
right.
so a
So
long
this is
time.
that back in the '90s, basically. Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I've grown up in the brand, and I have three kids, and they've kind of grown up in and around the brand as well. But Ashley and I were at an airport. It was at DFW because
Okay.
we have a couple stores at the airport, or the brand has a couple stores at the airport, and we were traveling to see my parents, and if memory serves me right, probably to Savannah, Georgia. And we had William, our oldest, who's 26,
Okay.
and on his way in life. We had him in a carrier, and we were sitting. Literally, we were a couple tired young parents sitting on the floor in the airport. And I went to get Ashley and I a couple sandwiches. And by the way, we had signed an agreement, and I had not eaten the Dickey's barbecue.
Oh,
Sandwich
okay.
at
So
this
you
point.
had already signed.
I had
Okay.
signed an agreement. We were in, and I went and got a sandwich, and came back and gave it to her, and we were sitting there eating, and we were probably very hungry, but the sandwich was also very good. And I said, "Hon, if we're going to have an opportunity to do this, then we're going to be just fine." So that was really kind of my first Dickey's barbecue sandwich, and that's the rest is, I guess they say, the rest of it's history. So
Yeah.
it's been a 22-year good run.
And
with
so,
Dickey's.
and back at that time, you were more than likely. I know this, I guess, because I was around shortly after. But at this time, you're interacting with Roland Dickey Sr.,
Absolutely.
TD Dickey.
Uh-huh.
You know, that was like the family.
Yes.
I mean, the family obviously still owns and operates the company, but that was
Yeah, we did.
the guys who started it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I still remember going to get my first chart of accounts for my accountant. He said, can we get something to work off of, David?" And I went to TD's store there on Forest Lane where he officed.
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and he said, "Sure, come on down. I'll get it for you. I'll have it for you when you get here." And so that's been the chart of accounts that we've used since we got going. So I'm sure if I was to look at the chart of accounts for the central store number one, it's probably going to look,
Probably.
the categories on that are going to look really similar to the ones that TD had and
Yeah.
gave me. So we really haven't deviated from that at all.
Yeah, for sure. So back in those times, he was over all of the company stores.
The
That was
family
basically
stores, yeah.
his deal,
Mhm.
right? Yeah. And so you've got the store still, same store,
The original store we built, yeah.
out in Arlington.
Arlington, yeah.
And, I think the real estate, you and Mr. Dickey found the real estate together, right?
I think I found the real estate, and I knew enough about. We had some other franchisees who were aggressive franchisees, and good sites are hard to come by, and so I found it, and I wouldn't tell Mr. Dickey where it was until we got in the car and we drove out there. And so we drove out there, and we sat on the curb in front of this lot, and we talked about it and discussed it, and he said, "Well, let's go do it." And we actually, the two of us went to, the real estate was owned by a concrete business here in Dallas Fort Worth called TXI, and we actually went and negotiated the purchase of that piece of property, and we've been there, and it's been an awesome run. And there's been some ebb and flow, just like everything
Yeah.
else, but we've
Highway
been there.
construction. and
Highway
whatnot,
construction, life.
Yeah.
I mentioned William, the 26-year-old. I actually have pictures of him on the bulldozer clearing the trees when he was 2. So
Oh, wow.
it's been that long ago.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Very cool.
Yeah. And he got a good education.
Yeah.
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 That's for sure.
Yeah.
So when you were signing up, I'm sure it was very obvious that it was a family business.
Yes.
And the family. How did you handle the experience of the family being as involved as they have been throughout the entirety of the franchise experience?
It's been good.
Yeah.
I mean, I hear we reference family business quite a bit,
Yeah.
and I think it is a family business that's owned by the Dickeys, and so it's not a publicly traded deal, and there's obviously some things that come with that. The family's involved in running the company, and even I think about it, it's a family business. I think about how difficult it is to run my family business in my own house.
Right.
It's hard sometimes.
Well, it's like it's a cluster of multiple families now, right? I mean, the
Yes.
family business, it's the Dickey family, but the Boisture family is
Yeah.
part of the family. And,
I think about, my, like referring to, I got 3 people running in 3 different directions. They've left the house. They're gone from the house now, my kids, but it's running a family business is difficult. It's not, and I think running a business in general is difficult, but there's good and bad that comes with family.
Yeah,
right?
for sure.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But through communication, I think is key to be able to work your way towards, maybe if you have an issue or if you have an idea that's good that will benefit the brand and the family in a broader sense. Those things are all we have those capabilities, I think, as operators to do that. It needs to be done in the right way, and so I think that's probably the family business part of it.
Yeah.
We're celebrating our 84th birthday this month.
84th, right? Yeah.
And that idea itself, Jeff, came from Ray, who's worked for me for the time he's worked with me at Ballpark since the time we've been open, and he really said, we need to do something about a birthday celebration. And so here we are, lo and behold, we're doing it. Everybody got their collateral kit this week for the holidays, and the birthday celebration is in there.
Yeah.
We'll celebrate that for the whole month of October. And so I'm excited about that. But that came from a quote unquote family member, a guy that's been in the brand and got from Ray to me to Laura, and Laura said, let's do it.
Yeah.
And it's done.
And it's happening.
It's happening. And I think in 60 days, I think it's about
from
that's inception. Right. Is that probably about right?
Yeah, it's late October. So yeah.
So
Ray also incidentally has been at that store since day one.
Since we built it.
Literally since you built it. That's crazy. And so
both of us have
consistently the whole time.
I mean, you've heard me say it a lot of times, but we have both raised our families in there, and working at that store and the benefit that business has provided has allowed both Ray and I to raise 3 kids apiece, and he's had 2 kids in his family that have gone on to college and are out and doing well, and my last one is in school and working towards moving out into the real world. And so I think that the Dickey's brand has allowed me to do that, and I'm pretty passionate about telling people about that. I think that in any business there's ups, downs, whatever you want to call them, but I think to be able to communicate with the leaders of the business in the appropriate way and come together and for good, I think you can make that happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Dickey's, with the Dickey's family.
So you mentioned ups and downs, and obviously in the tenure you've had, 2 decades, you've had probably plenty of both.
Plenty of cycles.
So maybe just what are a couple that come to mind, the highs and the lows? Maybe start, yeah.
I think, you know this, and I don't think Laura would mind me sharing that I didn't understand the big push when we really made the technology push that we find ourselves where we find ourselves today.
Yeah.
I didn't get it, I didn't understand it, but Laura was out in front of me for sure, and a lot of people, to know that where we find ourselves today with the Spark POS and the Big Yellow Cup Club, the rewards program, and all those things. She's brought that robust piece to our business. We didn't have that before.
No.
And so
I remember, I think I had to convince you and Dale and Bodecker, all those guys at the time, like to even try online ordering, because it was brand new.
Yes.
It was like a brand new thing. And I remember, maybe it wasn't you as much as one of the other guys, but I mean, it was just like, this is never going to take off. What are you guys doing? You're chasing your tails here.
No.
Like, no, trust us. I think we.
Yeah, no, it's been, those things have been good, and it's a big component of our business.
Yeah,
now.
sure.
Other people are doing it. Everyone's doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, even after the online, then the third party aspect of our
All
business.
that, yeah.
And it has its own challenges, but I think we are doing an effective job of managing our way to get us to the best possible position we can be with our third party vendors. So there's not too much pressure on the bottom line for the operators, and it's a middle ground. I think, honestly, you talk about ebb and flow. I believe in this economic time that the pendulum is swinging back more towards the operator's ability to, you know, push back against the third party. Maybe it's kind of grown a little bit too much into it.
Interesting.
I think that you and I've had this discussion about third party vending. If you want to stay at home and order, then you're going to pay a premium for that. And 2.5 years ago, when money was easy and we were running white hot as an economy, that was not really an issue. But I know that at my own house, and I have a sense for a lot of other houses, that people are watching the way that they're spending their money, and they are more apt, probably, I think we can pick up a little bit in the fee space towards what our top line pricing is in the store. We don't have to chew in, we don't have to offer that so much as a convenience now, as opposed to it's a luxury, that we can actually maybe encourage people to come back to the stores and dine in, because it has chewed into that day-to-day foot traffic. But I think because of where we are economically right now, I think we have an opportunity to encourage guests to come back. Instead of paying that fee that we're passing along to the guest now, they're going to be like, it's a lot cheaper to get in my car and go back down to the restaurant.
Just get off the couch and go to the restaurant instead of wait for your food on the couch.
And I think it's incumbent upon us as owners and operators to, when they come in, we need to be ready, and the stores need to be clean, and service needs to be good, and the food needs to be good. If we as operators are doing those things, I think anybody in the restaurant industry would tell you, you really don't have a reason not to come back to the store. So
how is thinking like that, how is that sort of take on the business, has it shaped your opinion at all on like where the sort of responsibilities start and stop between a franchisor and a franchisee when in that regard?
If you're going to do something like be in a franchise environment, or you're going to, like, because there's a model, there's a sign, there's a logo,
recipes,
there's a big yellow cup,
right.
I've heard that, you've heard me say that in the last 6 months, that I can remember when that's all we really had was a big yellow cup. And we've come to where we find ourselves now. I think it's incumbent upon the investor or the franchisee, which is the investor, investing in this business, to take a good hard look at the business, because you certainly have an opportunity to go do something else. So if I was going to redo it again, or suggest, I would encourage somebody to ask a lot of questions. I would I would ask for a list of owners that I could go talk to about their experience. I think a good owner not a good owner, that's not the right way to put that, but it's ultimately the business is the responsibility of the owner.
Well, independent business owners, for sure.
And the Dickey's brand is definitely a brand that if the owner operator invests their money and their time, then they will experience success. I don't have a doubt about that. I think that's there, and I think that if you're going to get in business, there are some incumbent risks that are associated with that. I think that it's kind of on the franchisor to provide a blueprint for what they feel like this is what works.
Right.
And then,
well, like you said, a model.
A model. And believe me, the model when we got going it's not near as clear cut as it is today.
No.
For sure. But I think that there's plenty of opportunity for success within the Dickey's brand.
Yeah. Well, you said...
Did I answer that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I mean, you said something very poignant, which is, it is... The experiences may vary, right? I mean, in fact, they do. They absolutely, in fact, vary. Not everybody has the same experience, and there's a lot of different things that go into that. What's your reaction to, obviously, I'm sure you're aware, I know you are, of, some in the press, there's been some former franchisees depicting a different experience, one very different from yours. How does that, when you read stuff like that, what's your reaction?
Number one, I think you're always going to have some people that are disgruntled about something.
Right.
I find it interesting that that there's been so much time and energy spent on that by those folks continuing to do that. I ask myself, they probably need to find something better to do with their time. And I don't know that I would, and Jeff, you know this, I personally have not had all rosy experiences within the brand.
Not at all. No one does. I mean,
and so, you know, I think I can speak to that about as good as anybody that I'm familiar with. Again, I go back to where we started about family business. We've worked our way through some pretty tight spots over the years.
Sure.
I look back. Certainly, I have a couple of experiences that have not been good for me as a businessman. So, for it just to, but I didn't take to the New York Times to talk about that, or I decided, I guess we'll just go back to work and work harder, work on the things that we can work harder on to be good at, and we'll be better for it down range. And I don't understand why people would spend that much time and energy. I don't believe. Again, I think then that piece comes back to if I would ask myself, why are these people so upset? And maybe they didn't do some of the things that I would have done initially on the front end. I mean, I think anytime we have a problem, before we sit down and we start pointing fingers at somebody else about what they're doing to contribute to my problem, I probably need to think about, what am I doing to contribute to my own problem? And then if you do that before you go into a conversation with somebody that you need to work in partnership with, I think you may get to a different solution.
For sure. Yeah, thank you for that, because I think that's probably what a lot of people think. You know, it's some of those articles, like the one you mentioned, the New York Times one in particular, it sort of depicts that, you know, this is a very consistent and routine or regularly occurring experience within, you know, our brand in particular. But you know, the restaurant industry's hard.
Yes.
You know, and restaurants aren't the only kind of franchising is a business model that has across all industries, whether it's restaurant or otherwise. And so it just, anyway, I appreciate you sort of elaborating on that, because we, you know, it's reading it from the corporate office is one thing, but, you know, I just kind of always curious to know, like, what other franchisees think.
Well, I think for the other franchisees who are not upset, it makes it more difficult to run the other businesses. I think that piece is like, you've said your piece. Why don't you let the rest of us move on?
Right.
It's probably the best way I know how to put that. And you know, I don't have a problem talking to anybody. So
no.
I've visited over the years with people here who've gone out places all over the country and built restaurants. And you know, I would really take to task somebody that is that upset to take the time and the energy they've taken to get all the way to the New York Times to effectively, you know, continue on with the talk track that they have about Dickey's barbecue.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that's I guess that's the thing that we're sort of up against in some of these, you know, search engine results or whatever, where it's like, I mean, in this information age, fake news, whatever, all these, you know, sound bites, it's just that, you know, this headline sort of forms your reality, you know, or it makes people think that that's just, oh, well, that must be what every single Dickey's franchisee experiences. But
well, I think, you know, too, Jeff, if I think about just things in general, you will always find misery loves company.
Yeah.
And so you will find people who kind of congregate around that conversation. I really don't think that's really healthy personally to spend a lot of time doing that. But then it's the good people that don't get to be heard from. Nobody ever chimes in and says, hey, these guys are awesome, whether it be, you know, it's very difficult to get complimented, because I think that on good work, people would much rather talk about negative experience because it's, well, misery loves company, and I guess I have never really used that phrase, but it came to mind pretty quick.
Yeah.
And I think there's, it's a lot more fun to talk about.
Yeah.
And I certainly can understand that. I mean, the Times article was pretty aggressive towards the family.
Yeah, it was.
And I can understand, and that would be hurtful, I would think, to have that. And so I think that Laura and Roland are doing a really effective job of running the business.
Well, that's nice of you to say. A lot of people think that. And I think, not speaking for them, but I think probably the most hurtful part was that their side of the story wasn't included.
Agreed.
And that was, so it was very one-sided, and that's not fair, I don't think.
No, I don't
think anybody does. But.
No, and I think, and I know that there was a real effort to kind of get that heard, or for the Times to reach out and to ask some questions of some owners that are very happy and very pleased with the brand,
right.
And I don't know that they took the time to call one.
I don't think so. But.
Yeah. Well, if they did, we didn't make it in the article.
Right. They didn't call you. Okay. Well, so obviously we've talked about the past, talking about the present. What's next? How does your Dickey's story wrap up here?
I think the future looks good for we'll continue to stay in the brand, Ashley and I, and I think the growth. It's tough. Like you mentioned, business is tough. It's tough on the country right now.
Yeah.
Whether you be in the lumber business, whether you be in the food business, whether you be in the manufacturing business, it's just an interesting time. I think that this too shall pass, as my grandmother used to say, and so we will have a moment to move forward again as a brand in terms of growth from a store count perspective.
For sure.
I think it would be. I'm not going to skirt the folks that would say, well, why is the constriction? Well, guys, there's constriction everywhere.
Right.
And I think it's
not unique to
it is not,
restaurants.
It
it's
is,
not unique.
No, it is not unique to us by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, you just pick up the paper and you can figure out there are things going on within our industry and other industries.
For sure.
I have a sense that maybe the things that I'm reading and hearing about we can begin to tap this down first quarter, second quarter of next year, and we can, as a country, begin to experience some moving forward. And I think, the brand itself is much better equipped than when I showed up. We have more than a yellow cup. We have the model is tightened up. I think leadership understands even where we need to be, like what our model. We had the model. Like the cost and those things, I specifically would say I think we are better prepared and better equipped as a brand to make decisions about sites.
Yeah.
And exactly where we need to be. And, I think it's the needle is pointed upward for the brand, and leadership is ready to take us there. So I think if I was going to do it all over again, I would get in again. I'm not as young as I was when I got in the first time. I mean, it's so I'm going to kind of do what I'm doing now with the store there in Arlington, and if anyone gets in town for a Cowboy game, Ranger game, concert, the World Cup,
World Cup,
come by.
Yeah, okay.
I'll probably be standing in there, and you can come hang out with me.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with me today.
You bet.
Appreciate the time and the conversation.
Always.
Thanks.
You bet, Jeff. Anytime.